All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. You know the drill. We love taking these massive deep dives, and you're here because you like it too. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all get a little overwhelmed sometimes, right, with just the sheer volume of information out there these days. So we try to cut through all that. And
yeah, we like to just get to the good stuff so you can walk away and be like, okay, I actually learned something today.
exactly, some real aha moments.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something pretty fun and exciting, and it's all about date outfits.
Ooh, fun. Yeah.
We found this really awesome guide, and it is extensive. This thing is over 5,000 words.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack.
It is a lot to unpack. It's a lot to even like read through and be like, okay, what are the key takeaways here? So our mission today is going to be to go through this guide, pull out all the best bits, and really focus on, how to talk about date outfits in English.
Yeah, I think that's so key, right? Because
Yeah.
it's one thing to like have a sense of style, but to be able to actually like articulate it and like share that with someone else, that's a whole other skill.
Right. It's like you can have all these ideas in your head. You can be super stylish. You can know exactly what you want to wear. But then when it comes to actually putting it into words and like describing it, maybe you're going on a date and you want to talk about what you're wearing, or you're just chatting with friends about, outfit ideas. It can be tricky.
Yeah, totally. And, fashion, it's such a personal thing. It's a way to express yourself. It's a way to like set the mood and like build confidence.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like that first impression thing too, right? Like what you wear says a lot about you before you even open your mouth.
Absolutely. It's that nonverbal communication. It's so powerful.
So powerful. So let's jump right into this guide. And the first thing I kind of want to touch on is this whole concept of fashion as self-expression in the context of dating.
Okay. Yeah, love that.
So the guide really emphasizes this point that like your outfit is a way to communicate your personality.
And it can be anything from like, bold and like, look at me, I'm here,
Yeah.
to something much more understated and kind of like subtly cool,
Right. And it can be anything in between too, right? Like you can be creative, you can be playful, you can be sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's all about how you put those pieces together.
Yeah, totally. And I think something that's interesting is how it also reflects your mood, right?
Oh yeah, for
If you're feeling super excited and energetic, you might dress a certain way, versus if you're feeling more like chill and relaxed, you might choose something completely different.
Totally. And I think for the listener, what's really fascinating here is how like clothing can really be a reflection of like our inner state.
Yeah, and how we want to project ourselves to the world, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so thinking about the date scenario, like what are you trying to convey? What kind of energy do you want to bring to that date?
And then there's this whole other element of like matching your outfit to the type of date you're going on.
Right. Oh yeah, that's huge. You're not going to wear the same thing to like a casual coffee date as you would to like a fancy dinner.
Right, totally different vibes.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the guide talks about this, and it's like, okay, if you're going for like a daytime casual thing, you might want to keep it more relaxed and effortless.
Right, like jeans and a cute top or something.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you're going for something more formal, like a dinner date, you might want to elevate things a bit, maybe a dress or a nice skirt and top.
And I think what's key for our listener here is like understanding that like putting that thought into your outfit, it shows that you care.
Yeah, it shows you've put effort in.
Exactly. And you're respecting the occasion.
Totally. And speaking of first impressions, that's another thing this guide really digs into is the psychology behind those initial encounters.
Yeah, first impressions are so important. And like you were saying before, like your clothes, they speak volumes even before you say a word.
Totally, they do. And the guide highlights this really interesting point about how what you wear can actually affect your attractiveness to others, but it can also impact how confident you feel in yourself.
Yeah, I love that because it's like a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
Like if you feel good in what you're wearing, you're going to project that confidence.
Totally. And people are going to pick up on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the question for the listener then becomes like, okay, why is this the case? Like why does clothing have this power?
Yeah, and the guide kind of dives into that and talks about how style, it's a form of nonverbal communication, right? It's like you're sending these signals about your personality, your confidence level, the effort you've put in all through your clothing choices.
It's fascinating, right? Like we're constantly reading each other's like visual cues, and clothing is a huge part of that.
It's huge, and it's subconscious a lot of the time, too.
Oh, totally. We might not even be aware of it. We're making these judgments based on what people are wearing.
Yeah, and the guide kind of boils it down to this idea that like what you wear, it influences social perception. Right.
People are going to form opinions about you based on your style, whether those opinions are accurate or not.
Yeah, and I think for the listener, it's important to note that it's not about like trying to conform to some like unrealistic standard of beauty or anything like that.
Right. It's not about being like a fashion model.
Exactly. But it's about understanding that like your clothing, it's a part of your overall message.
Yeah. And it's a part of how you present yourself to the world.
Exactly. And speaking of presenting yourself to the world, this ties in nicely to the next point the guide makes, which is about building confidence through your outfits.
Yeah. I love this part.
Me too.
Because it's so true. Like when you wear something you love, you just feel better.
Yeah, you radiate a different energy.
You do. And the guide actually uses this term, which I thought was really interesting. It talks about wearing Oshoa.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's like that special clothing that you just adore.
The stuff that makes you feel like $1,000,000.
Yes, exactly. And the guide really emphasizes how wearing those pieces, it can lead to a sense of empowerment.
It's like you're putting on your best self.
Yeah. And it's not just about like looking good, it's about feeling good too.
Right, it's like an internal thing.
Exactly. And the guide even talks about how like a great outfit, it can actually have mood boosting effects.
It's true, it's like a little pick-me-up.
Totally. And what's fascinating here is that like your outfit can become this like canvas for your individuality.
Yeah, it's a way to express who you are without having to say anything.
Exactly. So it's like this visual representation of your personality.
Right, and so if you want to talk about these outfits in English, it's helpful to have some key vocabulary in your arsenal.
Oh yeah, for sure. Vocabulary is key.
And this guide is packed with great terms. So let's start with some of the basics like ensemble.
Okay, yeah, ensemble, that's a good one.
So ensemble, that refers to your complete outfit. Right?
Yeah, the whole look, the clothes, the accessories, everything together.
Yeah, the whole shebang. And then we've got silhouette.
Silhouette, okay.
Which is like the overall shape of your outfit.
Right, so it's like, are you going for something more fitted? Or are you going for something more flowy, that kind of thing?
Exactly. And then we can't forget accessories.
Oh, accessories are so important.
They are. They can really make or break an outfit. And the verb we use for that is accessorize.
Right, so you accessorize with jewelry, with scarves, with bags, you know, all the fun stuff.
Exactly. And then we've got pattern, which is pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah, like stripes or florals or polka dots, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And then there's texture, which describes how the fabric feels and looks.
Right, so something can be smooth or rough or soft or fuzzy. You know, there's so many different textures.
Yeah, for sure. And then moving beyond those basics, the guide gives us a ton of descriptive adjectives to use.
Oh yeah, adjectives are great for really painting a picture.
They are. So words like elegant, chic, casual, trendy, stylish.
Ooh, I love those.
Yeah, those are all really versatile. And then you can get even more specific with words like glamorous, edgy, playful.
I think what's really insightful for the listener is that like these adjectives, they go beyond just describing the clothes.
Right.
They also convey like a certain vibe or impression.
Yeah, for sure. Like elegant suggests sophistication, whereas playful is more lighthearted and fun.
Exactly. And then we've got the verbs, the action words of fashion.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about verbs.
So we've got coordinate, which means making sure your pieces work together.
Right. And then layer, which
Yeah.
is wearing multiple items on top of each other.
Yeah, like a shirt under a sweater, under a jacket, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And we've already talked about accessorize. And then there's embellish, which is adding decorative details.
Ooh, embellishment is fun, like sequins or embroidery.
Yeah. And then if you're really looking for a change, you can revamp your whole style.
Revamp. I like that it's like a total transformation.
Yeah, exactly. And then the guide also throws in some fun idioms, which I thought was really cool.
Idioms, those are always great.
They are. So we've got dress to kill, which means you look amazing.
Yeah, like you're making a really strong impression.
Exactly. And then there's style icon, which is someone who's known for their amazing fashion sense.
Like someone you really admire for their style.
Yeah. And then if you're trying to stand out, you might say you want to make a statement with your outfit.
Make a statement. I love that.
Yeah. It's like you're not afraid to be bold.
And for a listener, I think like using these idioms, it shows that you have like a deeper understanding of the language.
Yeah. It adds that extra layer of fluency.
Exactly. So now that we have all this great vocabulary, how do we actually prepare to share these outfit ideas?
Okay. That's the key question, right?
Yeah.
And the guide emphasizes this idea of reflecting on your own personal style first.
Right. Like what do you gravitate towards? What makes you feel good?
Exactly. So are you more casual chic? Are you more formal elegance? Are you more edgy?
Or maybe it's a mix of different styles.
Yeah, for sure. And what's fascinating is that like understanding your own style, it helps you communicate it more clearly to others.
It does, because you have that like self-awareness, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the guide also talks about identifying your fashion inspirations.
Oh yeah. Where do you get your ideas from?
So do you look to magazines, social media, movies?
What about like personal experiences? Have you ever like gone on a trip and like seen someone wearing something amazing and you're like, oh, I need to try that?
Totally. Or like even just remembering outfits that you've worn in the past that made you feel really good.
Yeah, I love that.
And then beyond just like the visual inspiration, it's also important to think about your communication goals.
What communication goals? Interesting.
Yeah, so when you're talking about your outfit, what are you hoping to achieve? Do you want to just be clear and understandable?
Yeah.
Do you want to spark a conversation? Do you want to maybe inspire someone?
Right. Or maybe you just want to feel more confident expressing your style in English.
Yeah, exactly. And the guide really stresses that like setting those intentions, it can help you tailor your message.
So true. So you're not just like rambling. You're actually like focused on what you want to convey.
Right. And speaking of conveying your message, let's talk about how to structure your outfit narrative.
Okay. Yeah. How do we take all these thoughts and put them into words?
So the guide suggests this really helpful framework.
Okay. I'm listening.
It's like a 3-part structure.
Okay.
You start with an introduction where you kind of lay out your overall style philosophy for the date.
Okay. Like a little preview of what's to come.
Exactly. And then you move into the body of your description where you break down the specific elements of your outfit.
Okay. So like the clothes, the accessories, the colors.
Exactly. And then you wrap it up with a conclusion where you might share some reflections or invite feedback.
Okay. That's a really clear structure. I like that.
Yeah, and the guide even gives us an example for the introduction, which I thought was really helpful.
But let's hear it.
It says something like, imagine stepping out on a date wearing an outfit that not only perfectly highlights your personality, but also sets just the right mood for what you hope will be a memorable evening.
Ooh, that's nice. I like that it's like setting the stage.
Yeah, it's creating that anticipation.
And then for the body of the description, we want to get specific, right?
Yeah, we want to paint that picture for the listener. So talk about the actual clothing pieces.
Right, like are you wearing a dress? Are you wearing pants? Are you wearing a skirt?
Yeah, and be specific, like is it a maxi dress? Is it a mini dress?
What about the top? Is it flowy? Is it fitted?
And don't forget the details, like the neckline, the sleeves.
Yeah, the details are important.
They are. And then move on to the accessories. Describe the jewelry, the bag, the shoes.
And the colors too, right?
Yes, definitely talk about the color palette and why you chose those particular colors.
Yeah, like do they complement your skin tone? Do they match the vibe of the date?
And then tie it all back to the occasion and the mood you're going for.
Right. So explain how this outfit is perfect for a coffee date or a dinner date or whatever it may be.
And then in the conclusion, you can kind of wrap things up by sharing your thoughts and feelings about the outfit.
Yeah, like why did you choose these pieces? What do they represent for you?
And you can even encourage your date to try similar styles or ask for their feedback.
Yeah, I love that because it makes it more interactive.
It does. And the guide also emphasizes the importance of using I statements when you're talking about your personal style.
I statements, okay.
Yeah. So instead of saying something like blazers always look good,
Right.
you could say something like, I personally feel most confident when I wear a blazer.
Yeah, that's much more personal.
It is. And it's less like you're dictating fashion rules.
Exactly. And for the listener, I think like using I statements, it just makes your communication more authentic.
Yeah, it shows that you're speaking from your own experience.
And then the guide also talks about using descriptive language when you're talking about colors, textures, styles.
Yeah, so instead of just saying blue dress,
Right.
you could say something like a vibrant cerulean blue dress made from flowing silk chiffon.
Ooh, that's much more evocative.
It is. It really helps the listener visualize what you're describing.
And I think that's key, right? Like we want to engage the listener. We want them to be able to see this outfit in their mind's eye.
Totally. And to engage the listener even further, you can ask them questions.
Oh yeah, questions are a great way to get people talking.
They are. So the guide gives us some examples like what's your go-to accessory that makes you feel really put together?
Ooh, I like that one.
Or how do you typically decide whether to go for a more casual or formal look?
Yeah, those are great conversation starters.
They are. And then, of course, active listening is important too.
Oh yeah, definitely. You want to actually listen to their responses and show that you're interested.
And then finally, in terms of verbal communication, the guide talks about balancing enthusiasm with clarity.
Okay, so like be passionate, but don't be confusing.
Exactly. You can totally gush about your outfit, but make sure you're explaining it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, because we don't want to lose the listener in a sea of like fashion jargon.
Exactly. So now that we've got all this great vocabulary and communication tips, let's talk about some practical strategies for actually bringing up outfit ideas in a conversation.
Okay, yeah. How do we actually start these conversations?
So the guide suggests starting by setting a bit of context.
Okay, context.
Yeah, so you could say something like, For our upcoming date, I was thinking of putting together an outfit that's both comfortable and stylish.
Okay, that's nice and open-ended.
Yeah, it's like a little teaser.
And then you can share the inspiration behind your look.
Yeah, maybe you saw something similar on a trip or in a movie.
What about like personal memories? Like maybe you have an outfit that you wore to a special event that you really loved and you're drawing inspiration from that.
Totally. And then explain how your outfit fits the occasion and the mood.
Right, so are you going for something casual or are you going for something more dressed up?
And don't be afraid to ask for feedback.
Oh yeah, definitely feedback is always helpful.
You could say something like, what do you think about adding a statement necklace to this?
Or like, do you have any suggestions for shoes that would go well with this?
Exactly. And then the guide also touches on some more advanced communication techniques.
Oh, advanced, okay. I'm intrigued.
One that I really liked was using metaphors and creative comparisons.
Ooh, metaphors.
Yeah.
I love a good metaphor.
Yeah, so instead of just saying these jeans are comfortable,
Right.
you could say something like, these jeans feel like a warm hug.
Ooh, I like that.
Or this dress feels like sunshine on my skin.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it just adds that extra layer of imagery and personality.
And I think for our listener, what's really cool here is that like these metaphors, they can make your description so much more memorable.
Totally. And then another advanced technique is blending in a bit of humor.
Humor is always good.
It makes the conversation more lighthearted and relatable. Yeah, like a little self-deprecating humor can go a long way.
Totally. And then finally, the guy talks about tailoring your message to your audience.
Yeah, that's important.
It is, because you're going to talk about your outfit differently with a close friend versus someone you just met.
Right, and you're also going to communicate differently online versus in person.
Totally. So it's all about being mindful of your audience.
And then let's wrap things up by talking about some potential communication challenges.
Okay, challenges.
Yeah, because let's be real, sometimes things don't go perfectly smoothly.
That's true. Life is messy.
It is. So one common challenge is dealing with nervousness.
Oh, yeah. Predate jitters.
Yeah, talking about your outfit can feel kind of vulnerable.
It can, especially if you're not used to it.
And the guide suggests things like preparation and mindfulness to help calm those nerves.
Okay, so like practice what you want to say, take some deep breaths.
Exactly. And then another challenge is dealing with ambiguous fashion terms.
Oh yeah, like what does bohemian even mean?
Right, or what's the difference between vintage and retro?
And the guide's advice is simple, just ask for clarification.
Yeah, don't be afraid to say, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you explain it?
Exactly. Clear communication is key.
And then there's the challenge of dealing with criticism.
Ooh, yeah, nobody likes criticism.
But it's bound to happen at some point.
That's true, people have opinions.
They do, and the guide suggests trying to view it as constructive feedback.
Okay, so like maybe they have a point, maybe you can learn something from it?
Exactly, but ultimately it comes down to staying true to your own style.
Yeah, you do.
Exactly, wear what makes you feel good and confident.
And I think that's such an important message for the listener, like fashion, it's so personal.
It is, and at the end of the day, you have to wear what you love.
Absolutely.
So let's do a quick recap of what we've learned today.
Okay, recap time.
We've talked about how fashion is a form of self-expression, especially in the context of dating.
Right, and how it can impact first impressions and boost your confidence.
We've gone over a ton of useful vocabulary and communication techniques for talking about outfits in English.
Like using I statements, asking questions, and being descriptive.
And we've even discussed some practical strategies for starting conversations and handling challenges.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
We did, and ultimately the guide emphasizes that confidently sharing your outfit ideas, it all comes down to preparation, clear communication, and staying true to yourself.
That's a great takeaway.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay, hit me with it.
Think about how consciously choosing your outfits and then actually talking about those choices can not only impact how others perceive you, but also affect your own confidence and how much you enjoy the date itself.
That's deep.
It is, right? And so maybe as you're getting ready for your next social event, try describing your outfit to a friend using some of the vocabulary and techniques we talked about today.
I love that.
It's a fun way to practice your English and also to really think about why you're choosing to wear what you're wearing.
It's all about that self-awareness.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's it for our deep dive on date outfits.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.